The movie starts with Jason driving his car at night, headphones on, listening to music. You can tell he's deep in thought about something. Suddenly, he stops in front of the gate of Morris's company, the one that makes kids' toys. At the same time, we see Morris, the owner, walking around his warehouse, looking at the toys with a lot of love and focus. He picks up a toy shaped like a spinning pound coin, and it spins along with the music. It's clear this toy means a lot to him because he really enjoys watching it spin. Meanwhile, Jason pulls out binoculars, looks toward the company headquarters, and notices a window is open. The light was on, and then he looked at his watch and decided to wait a bit. Meanwhile, we cut back to Morris, who takes a toy pound coin and heads up to his office upstairs. He uses a special ID card to get in. Then he moves closer to the window and gets shocked when he sees Jason's car parked right outside the company. Morris glances at a photo on his desk. It's his mom's picture, who's been his main inspiration for making kids' toys. It turns out Jason was waiting for this moment. He looks at Morris through binoculars to make sure he's in his office. Then Jason puts on gloves and a mask and grabs a gun loaded with darts. Makhedra gets out of the car, and at the same time there's a security guard at the Morris factory watching a basketball game on TV. Suddenly he hears a noise at the main door and decides to check it out. He finds a phone with a message on the screen saying it's a bomb that will explode in 10 seconds. The guard gets nervous, quickly swipes his ID card to open the door, grabs the phone, and tries to throw it far away from the factory. But it's actually a trick by Jason, who attacks the guard, shoots him with a tranquilizer dart, and knocks him out. Jason then takes the keys from him and enters the factory through the door. He goes to the control room and sees through the cameras that there's another guard. So he disables the cameras, takes off his mask, climbs up, and shoots the guard with a tranquilizer dart in the neck. The guard tries to fight back, but Jason kills him without even letting him see his face. Then he heads to Morris's office, uses the ID card he took from the guard to get in. Morris jumps up from his chair, terrified, and starts crying. Jason approaches and finishes him off with a few shots from his gun. After that, Jason notices all the toys on the shelves, looks around the office, checks Morris's pulse, and makes sure he's lying down, looking at a picture of Morris's dad, and gets caught up by the strange writing on the photo. Then his attention shifts to the pound coin next to Morris, so he decides to take it and keep it, slipping it into his pocket. Next, we see Jason on a plane heading to San Francisco, listening to music and chewing gum. At that moment, he sends a message to someone letting them know the mission is done, asks them to check the news to confirm, and tells them to transfer the money as soon as possible. From all this, we figure out that Jason killed Major and was assigned to kill Morris. Meanwhile, the woman sitting next to Jason on the plane sees the message and touches. She rests her shoulder and asks him for the toy, so Jason opens his bag to get it for her. At that moment, the woman next to him notices the toy coin. It seems like she understands something, but she stays quiet and doesn't say anything. When Jason arrives at San Francisco airport, he sees on the news that Morris, the famous toy maker, has died. The reporter says that, according to the police report, the murder was planned by a professional killer. Jason keeps heading out of the airport, and on the escalator he spots a girl carrying the same toy that was in Morris's office, but he doesn't pay it much mind. We then see him arriving with a taxi delivery. Jason heads to the building he lives in, which is clearly a fancy place meant for rich people. When he stops by the receptionist, he spots another Morris game sitting on the desk. For the second time, Jason doesn't pay much attention, thinking it's just a coincidence. Then he takes the elevator up to the 40th floor. As soon as he steps into his luxury apartment, he starts feeling more relaxed. He puts the coin game into a special cabinet along with other stuff he's taken from the victims he's dealt with. After that, he checks his email and sees that his employer has transferred the money and even offers him another job in London. But Jason wasn't ready for a new trip right now because he needed to rest a bit. He fell asleep on the couch until night came. When he woke up, he checked the security camera footage above his apartment door and saw the receptionist had dropped off a small package and left it outside. Jason was surprised since he wasn't expecting any deliveries. Still, he opened the door, grabbed the box, and went to the kitchen. There, he noticed the box had his apartment address on it. He started cutting the tape and paper with a knife, and inside he found a box full of toy soldiers labeled as 20 infantrymen. Helicopters, 2 officers, and 2 medics, plus some jeeps and a cannon. Jason realizes this toy set is made by Morris Kids Games, and there's a sticker on it saying there's a surprise inside the box. But Jason doesn't really notice the sticker. Then he carefully opens the box, suspicious that there might be a bomb inside, but he finds out there's nothing like that. It's just a set of toy soldiers, not real. He checks one of the soldiers and notices it's made of plastic. Then he throws it back into the box and goes to grab a drink from the fridge. Suddenly, the box falls to the floor by itself and he's surprised. Jason and Bilf quietly walk around the kitchen, trying to figure out what could have pushed the box, but they don't find anything strange. Then Jason gets closer to the box and is shocked to discover that the soldiers and equipment with them have disappeared. Suddenly, he notices the curtain behind the box moving, so he goes to check what's causing it but finds nothing behind it. Then the lamp on the table goes out, and Jason tries to turn it back on, but it won't work. He reaches under the table and finds the wire is cut. Suddenly, the lights above the stove go out, so Jason goes over to check what's wrong, and suddenly a toy gun gets stuck in his leg. Jason grabs it, looks at it, totally shocked and not understanding what just happened. He steps back and keeps staring under the stove, trying to figure out what went down. Suddenly, a bunch of bullets start flying at him, hitting his neck. Jason quickly moves away from the spot, takes cover, and when he looks back, more bullets hit him. On top of that, a grenade gets fired at him from the same place, hitting his knee. The grenade blast is really painful, forcing Jason to hide somewhere safe. He keeps looking under the couch to see who's shooting at him. Then he jumps up, runs to the bathroom, closes the door behind him, checks his injury, and realizes that a bullet. The gun's fixed. He's got a deep scratch on his knee, plus the bullets from the rifles gave him some minor cuts on his face and neck. After Jason dodges the small shots, he sits down on a chair next to the bathroom door. He opens the door carefully and uses the mirror to see what's going on in the living room. He's shocked when he sees bullets hitting the ceiling lights, smashing them. A burst from the gun hits a light on the wall and sets it on fire. All this makes Jason angry. Then the shooting stops and Jason keeps looking for where the shots are coming from. Suddenly, a burst from the gun hits the mirror and shatters it. That's when Jason closes the bathroom door. He's angry and goes to the bedroom next to the bathroom, grabs his gun, then heads out to the living room and starts shooting at his unknown enemy hiding under the couch. But his enemy fires back heavily, and Jason manages to dodge a cannonball that was about to hit his stomach. He runs quickly, hides behind the bar, and drinks something to calm his nerves and process what just happened. Then he grabs his rifle from the closet, goes back, shoots at the couch, and completely destroys it. When he lifts the couch, he's shocked to see a group of toy soldiers and realizes they were the ones shooting at him. Jason is surprised when he sees the soldiers gathering their gear. Quickly, the medics rush over and start helping the wounded soldiers. Meanwhile, a group of soldiers attacks Jason to cover the retreat. Jason gets pissed, stomps on the soldiers, crushing them under his foot. The other soldiers open fire on him, but Jason shoots back and takes them out. Suddenly, weird noises come from under the table, and within seconds 3 helicopters appear, flying straight at Jason and firing at him. Jason ducks down fast as explosions tear through much of the kitchen. Then he lifts his head, trying to figure out what's going on, but 2 planes crash into him, knocking the gun out of his hand, and he falls down. Jason gets hurt, but he grabs his gun and starts shooting at a helicopter, hitting it. Then he runs quickly, hides inside a room, closes the door, and keeps treating his wounds while still in shock from what happened. After a while, he quietly walks toward the door when suddenly a bullet hits, making a big hole in the door. A helicopter comes crashing in and attacks him, but he covers the helicopter with a blanket, throws it on the ground, and smashes it with his foot. At that moment, a second helicopter shows up and starts firing at Jason, but he shoots back with his gun and the helicopter flies away. He steps out of the bathroom and heads back to the helicopter he destroyed, noticing the soldiers inside are still there. They're alive and trying to free themselves, so he throws them in the toilet and pulls the flush. Then he blocks the door gap with a towel, but he still hears noises from the bathroom. So he flushes again, then turns on the hairdryer and throws it in the water to electrocute the soldiers and finish them off. That causes a power outage in the whole apartment. Jason takes advantage of the moment to stitch up his knee wound. Once he's done, he gets ready to keep fighting and finds some insecticide under the sink, deciding to use it during the battle. At that moment, the soldiers slip a note under the bathroom door with a message advising Jason to surrender. Jason refuses to give up. He writes something on the same paper and slides it under the door. Then he hears a loud noise from behind the door. He pulls the cloth away, peeks through the gap, and sees the soldiers getting the cannon ready. Suddenly, shells start pounding the door and it's about to be destroyed. Jason runs and escapes through the bathroom window, then starts walking along the edge of the building to get into the apartment from another spot. But suddenly, a plane appears in front of him and shoots him in the ear. Jason reels and almost falls off the building, but manages to grab hold at the last second. At that moment, the soldiers inside the plane run out of ammo, so Jason takes the chance and opens fire on the plane. He destroys it, and then Jason realizes he's out of ammo too, so he drops the gun and carefully keeps moving until he gets back into the apartment. There he sees the remaining soldiers cheering each other on. Then they start setting up the cannon to keep fighting. Jason notices a fire extinguisher and a toy duck nearby, and you can tell he's got a plan. He throws the duck into the pool, and when the soldiers hear it, they leave their spots to go investigate. Jason takes advantage of their confusion, sneaks around behind them, and sprays them with the fire extinguisher foam. The soldiers rush to the cannon and try to They use it, and at the same moment, two soldiers jump into the car and start shooting at Jason. Jason pulls out some bug spray and a lighter, begins spraying the bug spray and manages to create a flame blast. He sets the car on fire and it explodes, taking out the soldiers inside. Jason yells out loud, celebrating his victory over the soldiers. Then he grabs a knife and starts cutting up the soldiers' bodies to make sure they're really dead, but suddenly he's hit by a cannon shot. That's because the fire extinguisher foam evaporated and the soldiers managed to pinpoint his location. Right then, Jason grabs a heavy box and takes them all out. At that moment, Jason managed to take out all the soldiers, gathered them up, broke their weapons into tiny pieces, and threw them in the trash compactor. After that, he was exhausted and went to the pool to relax a bit. Suddenly, he shook his hand hard and jumped out of the pool, holding his hand because someone had hurt it. He kept staring at the water, scared, but didn't see anything strange. So, he wrapped a towel around the wound, kept looking around nervously, moved away from the pool, went to a bedroom, and tried to calm himself down and give himself first aid since a wound like that couldn't be left untreated, especially on his hands. Jason's hands were shaking badly and he couldn't thread the needle. After a few failed tries to help himself, he got frustrated and decided to leave the apartment to go to the hospital. But when he got in the elevator, he heard strange noises inside the cabin and felt like someone was moving around in there. By the time the elevator reached the control panel, suddenly the panel exploded, the lights went out, and the elevator stopped. Then the hatch in the ceiling started opening, and a toy soldier from the same set of toys appeared and climbed into the cabin. Jason shone his flashlight to see where the soldier went, but he couldn't figure it out because the soldier was faster and stronger than him. The soldiers who attacked Jason in the apartment. At that moment, one of them wounds Jason in his leg and his other hand. Jason clutches his wounds and tries to bandage them. Then he looks toward the broken elevator key panel and finally spots the soldier attacking him. It turns out the soldier is from the Special Forces. Suddenly the soldier opens fire on Jason, but Jason manages to dodge the bullets with difficulty and gets out through a hole in the ceiling. He lies down on the cabin roof. Since Jason's apartment is on the 40th floor and the elevator is broken, he realizes he can't jump off the cabin. Meanwhile, the soldier throws a grenade at him. Jason screams, clutching his heel. He kicks off his shoe and sees a small cut on his foot, but it hurts a lot. Then he notices the soldier arming himself with a knife, getting ready to attack. At the same time, Jason spots another elevator cabin going down, so he jumps onto its roof, thinking he's finally safe. After that, he climbs inside the elevator through the roof hatch, but he hits the ground hard, causing him a lot of pain. He drags himself over to the elevator panel and presses the button for the first floor. What Jason doesn't realize is that the soldier is hanging onto his shoe heel and slowly climbing up behind him. He walks over Jason's chest, looking victorious. He pulls out the knife and stabs Jason quickly, but Jason throws him to the ground. Right then, the elevator reaches the first floor and the doors open. Jason is too weak to get out because he's badly injured and can't move, so he collapses from exhaustion. The soldier gets ready to deliver the final blow to Jason, but suddenly someone grabs Jason, snatches the soldier's weapon away, and shoves him hard toward the elevator door. The soldier tries to keep the elevator door open but fails. The door closes on him, crushing half his body while the other half remains outside. Jason's hands reach out, and suddenly he hears the ticking of a time bomb. He flips the soldier's body and sees a red light, realizing the explosion is about to happen in seconds. The elevator cabin is locked and there's no time to save himself. Jason accepts his fate. The explosion happens, flames spreading throughout the elevator shaft. In Jason's apartment, we see the soldier's box on fire, the sticker peeled off, revealing that Jason earned a reward. He's a Special Forces fighter with a time bomb. Then the coin game starts spinning, celebrating the victory over Jason and avenging Morris's death.